Okay, looks like we're rolling here. Okay, welcome back to the Inner Voices podcast. Today's episode features Sir Brad, and I am Sir Brad. I'm very honored to be on the podcast. I understand it's a brand new thing that Kara Morgan's starting up, and I'll tell you what I'm just kind of overwhelmed about is that the outpouring of questions for me. You guys, I've got 2 pages of questions that the patrons of Kara Morgan have asked me, and I just the interest in my life, and it kind of it means a lot, and I'm going to do my best to answer as honestly and truthfully as I can. Um, this is a good opportunity to say that if you're interested in asking a question of anybody on this podcast, what you got to do is go on to Kara Morgan's Patreon, and then you can, a lot of things you'll get from being on there. But one of the perks is that you can ask us any questions that you want, as you'll see that a lot of folks did for me. There are I've got 2 pages here of questions, so I'm gonna hop on in and start with the first one. And it is, how old were you, dear Sir Brad, when you first got your mustache? This is a question from Kathy Morgan. Uh, it's interesting, Kathy. I got this mustache way earlier than people normally get them. I think my mom uh, told me that when I was around 4 years old, it started coming in. Uh, and now I'm proud of it. I'm proud to have a nice full mustache. I kind of, I think it's one of the better features on my face. But when I was little, it was embarrassing. I was the only kid in school that had a mustache, and yeah, they made fun of me, and tried to cut it off myself. Using the scissors that we had back then, and it would grow back, and it took me a while to kind of just accept that this is the way I am. This is the way my face looks. By the way, I never did get any uh, hair on the chin or the cheeks. A beard. I don't have a beard. Would be interested in having one, but that's just never been a thing that's happened. But yeah, the mustache has almost always been there. I wasn't born with it, but around 4 years old, it started to come in. Thank you for that question, Kathy. Okay, let's move on to the next one. When and for what most probably was an exciting adventure or quest were united? And that's a question from TB, from patron TB. Thank you for the question, TB. This is, some of you may know this, but I think it's a good opportunity to kind of clear some of this up because, people hear Sir Brad, Sir, Galahad, they think, well, this is a warrior, someone who's got a lot of athletic prowess and ability, and that's probably the primary way in which they found their way on the round table, became knighted, and then maybe found their way on the round table if they're lucky. But honestly, TB, that's not my story at all. What happened for me is, I was born in Pennsylvania in the Americas. It came to be called later. It didn't have that name uh, per se back in my time. Wasn't even called Pennsylvania then, really. But yeah, I was from Pennsylvania. And then I wanted to study abroad in the old country, as they say, and I was able to do that. Took a ship over with some other folks that were heading to England for whatever reason. I made my way to the University of Camelot. That's where I had gotten a decree of permission to come and study, and and this was where I originally met Sir Galahad. It wasn't Sir Galahad back then; it was just Galahad. Met Arthur. He also was studying at the UFC, University of Camelot. A bunch of of folks. Guinevere also was studying there back then. Um, so basically, that's how it started. I was there to study juggling and gesturing and clowning, but and became great buds with all these guys. They were studying other things, like the theory of chivalry and warcraft, swordsmanship, not sorry, that's me, gesturing. Jousting is what they were studying, or at least taking a class or two in. Some of them dabbled in magic. Merlin did. He was a professor eventually. Not my freshman year, my sophomore year. Anyway, so I was in the clowning department of the school, but came up with Arthur and Galahad and a bunch of others. Lancelot, he did come into it. Well, I was a junior when he transferred over in, and so that's kind of when our paths first crossed. But fast forward to Arthur, of course, pulling that sword out of the stem, becoming the king of England, and of course, that's the rest of that was history. He forms his round table, and a lot of his pals from UFC join the round table. I was not considered. I didn't want to be considered for the round table, but I did eventually go over there because they wanted a little bit of levity when they were taking breaks on the round table. They had a lot of serious subjects to deal with, and Gallic called me up, so to speak. We didn't have telephones at that time. He sent a pigeon over with a message, and it said, "Hey man, what are you up to? I've got a gig available for you. I mean, there's others that Arthur's considering, but when I mentioned you to him, he was like, "Oh my gosh, of course, let's get Brad in here." So I went over to the first roundtable meeting. I mean, they'd been meeting for a while, but it was my first roundtable, and I basically had a little audition. I did some juggling and gesturing for them when they were taking a break from the matters they were discussing and so forth, and they enjoyed that. The knights all kind of enjoyed it. They liked a little change of pace because the meetings could get serious, and that's how I came to be associated with the round table. Now, again, just a jester or clown, some jokes, some up close magic, although that's not my specialty. And lo and behold, Galahad, again, one of my best buds, he went on paternity leave. He and Marilyn, his wife, were expecting their first, and he went on paternity leave, and they needed someone to just fill in temporarily. And he kind of tapped me, said, "Hey man, you're already here. You know the biz. You're in the levels of clearance, security, all that that need to be gone through if you're going to join the round table. It takes some time." And they kind of thought it would save some time if I just hopped into his place, when he was on paternity leave. So I did that. And then lo and behold, Galahad has a real great time being a dad. He kind of just is, enjoying the new pace of life. He says, "Hey man, why don't you stick around there? I think I kind of want to be a dad to little Bumpy is what we called him. His real name is Petruchus, but Bumpy is it's a long story. Anyway, he wants to till he gets to the age of 2. So we're near the end of those 2 years. So, I might not be on the round table that much longer. I'm actually doing it long distance now because I'm back in the States now. I'm in California. But yeah, so it wasn't any kind of act of bravery or anything that got me on there. It's just kind of, knowing some important people and getting tapped when the opportunity came along. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now and move on to the next one. It says, "For Sir Brad, has there ever been a time when it was awkward to wear armor? Do you have any pets? Do you have any side hustles?" And this question's from Adrian Tab, who's a patron of Kara Morgan. Thank you for the question, Adrian. I'm going to be honest with you. This is something I don't necessarily feel comfortable saying in front of the other knights of the round table, but it's almost always uncomfortable for me to wear armor. What you're seeing, if you're watching the video right now, is kind of an Under Armour situation, and And yes, that is where the brand of underwear came from, is from my time. But this is a soft, but still it can repel a blade. Um, this for sure. This is a gold, but also an alloy of some steel in there. But it's soft and it's comfortable. So this is what I wear most of the time. This is of course a mithril. What do you call this thing? See, I should know these words, and it's kind of shows my inexperience that I'm basically an under helmet layer. But the full on armor, that's uncomfortable. It really impedes your movement. Um, you would be so surprised at how easy it is to fall down. If it, like, heaven help you if you have to go up or down some steps, and that's something that I learned real quick. You're gonna end up falling down those steps and making a whole lot of clatter, and people are gonna be laughing at you for the wrong reasons. Unfortunately, that's happened to me more times than I can count. Plus, you'll get injured because it's hard in there, and your soft tissues are bouncing around against a steel uh, armor. So I try to avoid it at all costs. They don't often send me out, hardly ever actually, on any kind of a mission that would require it. So I technically have some, but it sits in my little closet, my little cubby. All the knights have a little cubby over at the castle, and mine sits in there most of the time, unless I'm sent out in a jousting tournament, which I try to avoid at all possible costs. Okay, do you have any pets? Well, currently I have 4 cats. I'm staying here in a place in California. Really grateful for the hospitality that's been shown me. We got 4 cats. We got Jimmy, got Jingle Bell, Jasper, and Fuzzy Dunlop. And then we've also got an outdoor cat that we care for named Mr. Bojangles. So yeah, 4 cats currently. And do you have any side hustles? It's a great question, and the answer is yes. I'm always looking for, a gesturing gig when I can, a juggling gig, and even some clowning gigs when I can. Because I'm going to be honest with you again, I don't know how long this stint on the round table is gonna, unfortunately gonna last. I don't know how much I'll get into it with these questions. I guess it depends on, uh, what I guess it just depends on, what happens with Galahad and all that. But I just kind of try to keep my skills fresh, try to keep my gesturing, clowning, juggling skills fresh. I mean, most recently I had a little side hustle. Got to go to. We live close to an elementary school, so they do assemblies, and I kind of went over there, showed the kids some basic juggling. Starting with 2 balls in and 3 balls in. And the kids liked it. I got a little, they didn't pay me money. They paid me in pears, but I love pears, and those cost money, so it amounts to the same thing. Thank you for your question, Adrian. Okay, my next one. I'm scrolling here on a computer. If you guys are wondering, we have a printer here. All this technology I wouldn't normally be familiar with, but they've gotten me kind of trained on it. But our printer broke, so that's why it's on a computer here that I'm looking at. Okay, next question. What's the best way to get a wine stain out of chainmail? Asking for a friend. This question comes from Margaret, who's a patron. Thank you for this question, Margaret. It's a great question. And again, the chainmail is another layer that goes on additionally, and then the armor goes on top of that. So you've basically got 3 layers of protection, which you do want if you're, going out there, dragons or, any rogue knights that do, you got Uther Pendragon sometimes, and Mordred too. He's always causing a ruckus. If you're having to go out on one of those missions, you're going to want the chainmail and the armor and the under armor. And I have spilled some mead and some mulled wine at the holidays on my chainmail, and it's a mess. But what you want, it's actually pretty simple. You get yourself some warm water, which you just got to heat on a cauldron, and you mix in there a little bit of lye. Lye is the main ingredient in soap, but you not a little. It's toxic, so you gotta be careful. Not that much lye in there, and then you just get a damp rag. Hold it with your chain mail gauntlet glove, okay, because it could affect your skin. And then you just kind of dab. Since it's metal, it does come off more easily than it would in the Under Armour. That's another story, but you didn't ask about that. Okay. Here's the next question. This one comes from Sir Gregory of Ghent. And of course, I've heard of Sir Gregory of Ghent, but never. Man, what an honor to have a question asked of from Sir Gregory of Ghent. Okay, this is what Gregory says. Sir Gregory, excuse me. I bid you good morrow, or good e'en, Sir Brad. Sir, do you jest for or consort with Her Royal Highness Queen Guinevere? What is she like? Yes, and I do. Guinevere and I go way back. We were buddies back in back at the UFC. Well, I think it was before they were dating. Certainly before Arthur and Guinevere were dating. We were all pals, and we wouldn't have thought the two of them would get together. But now, in retrospect, it mostly makes sense. I mean, their relationship is unfortunately been a subject of a lot of uh, what do you call it, tabloid, and it's unfortunate that they don't have the privacy that they should have as human beings. But when you rise to prominence like that, unfortunately, your news and your private affairs are in the newspaper, so to speak. We didn't have newspapers back then, but again, we had pigeons, and flocks of pigeons would carry sort of tabloids, so to speak, around. And so they had a rough go at it. But I mean, that's not your question. Yes, I jested for Guinevere back when I was just kind of just starting out in gesturing, and she was always super supportive. She's like, Brad, you got something there. So at first, like, I couldn't juggle. This is something I haven't ever shared. But I guess I feel comfortable saying it. I could not juggle for 5 semesters. So that's 2.5 years. Now, juggling is absolutely a central part of being a clown, being a jester. And if you can't get it, really, honestly, by your first year, normally they kick you out. But I think they kind of saw me as like, oh, here's this person from the new world coming over here. Whatever, he's fun. We'll keep him around. It don't matter. We'll send him back packing, and it's not going to look badly upon us, the University of Camelot, because he's not going to be sticking around. So they let me in longer than they should have, given how long it took me to juggle. But she would, I'd sometimes go over to her, sort of, we had, it wasn't dorm rooms so much. It was, we'd have little, I mean, you could call it a dorm room. It's a castle divided up into tons of little rooms, and we had the girls' side of the castle, the dorm castle, and the boys' side. But we could all hang out in this sort of central area, and I'd be practicing, and she'd be there, and she wouldn't laugh at me. All the other kids tended to laugh. Even Galahad and Arthur, they laughed at me, but they didn't realize it hurt my feelings. But she wouldn't, and she would be like, nice, Brad. If I manage to get 2, juggling. Most people don't think 2 is worth any kind of applause, but she'd be like, nice, man. You're juggling 2 balls. That's great. You're gonna get 3 and 4 and even 8 balls before you knew it. And she was right. And I didn't necessarily believe in myself then, but she did. And lo and behold, I can juggle up to 8 balls now. That's what I did for those kids the other day. So she's a good friend. I care a lot about her. She's gotten a bad rap. She's gotten a real bad, people don't know her, don't know what she's been through. And I'm not really at liberty to talk too much about Arthur and her relationship, but I'll just say this because people know this. It's not really a secret, but Arthur is a great guy. He's done a lot of good. But he's very, very focused on his career, on his advancement, on his ambition. And a lot of things can fall by the wayside. I mean, your friendship certainly, we were never that close, but we palled around together. But things can fall by the wayside when you've got a very singular focus, which he does. And I think the relationship suffered because of it. And Lancelot, when he came in there, it's he's certainly flashy. He's very skilled. He's very good looking. And and he cared immensely for her. He was very good to her. So, I mean, that's all I'll say about that. Mainly just the conclusion being she's an incredible person, and one of the people I really treasure and credit for my journey, my success. And I really just hope she'll be happy, you know. Okay, so we go on to the next one here. Hi, Sir Brad. Did any of the guys ever stick their chewed gum under the round table? Have you kept up your juggling chops? And this is from patron CM. Thanks for that question, CM. The answer to that is yes and no. First of all, we didn't have gum was a more recent development, but when I was kind of coming up, and starting as a jester, this was before I was another round table. But yes, basically, I would see. I mean, I'm going to tell you this. I saw Arthur do it once, and it's not gum. It's a substance that we. It's basically it's a substance that you can find in a tree. You there's sap, of course, in a tree, and you've got rubber trees. Not so much in England, but people would travel and visit Arthur from all over, and they did bring some of these exotic trees. So if you're high up in the monarchy, you might get access to some of this rubber gum, and you could chew it, and they'd add sassafras root to it. Anyway, that's what we would have. It's like a predecessor of chewing gum. But yeah, I saw Arthur put his under the table, and someone got to come around and clean that up. As a jester, I didn't have to do that. Sometimes if I found myself there and got there early before one was there, I'd scrape some of that off. But yeah, I just think it's something that you should respect. You should respect the round table and not put your chewing gum, especially if you founded the thing. But anyway, that you asked, so I told you. But yeah, you would see that occasionally. And have you kept up your juggling jobs? As you know, yes, I have. I still keep those side hustles going. So yeah, I'm really kind of holding strong at 8 balls. Sometimes I'll juggle sticks. I can't get up to 8 sticks, but I can get up to I think it's the last time I did it was like 5 sticks. Try to keep different objects in the rotation, so that I keep those skills fresh. Okay, next question. Dear Sir Brad, I recently retired after 40 years of working in an office. It's a very different mindset. How did you adjust from being the court jester to a knight of the round table? Your Canadian friend, Linda. Hey, Linda. Hey, thanks so much for writing and for that question. Very honored to have a friend in Canada. It's a place I have been and I love it, and sometimes I wish I was from there. Often, actually. quite a bit, actually, these days. So, well, first of all, congratulations on your retirement of 40 years in an office. That's incredible. That's man, I can only imagine the impression, Linda, that you left on those people that you worked with over that time, and I can only imagine the great sadness they all feel that with you not there. Yeah, it was definitely a big transition for me when I switched from being a court jester to another round table, because for me it wasn't those skills that I used as a jester weren't really necessary for the round table, and then the skills necessary for the round table I didn't really have. So I often felt like the odd man out. Still the brunt of the joke, honestly. And that's a tough way to feel when you're wanting to step up to, fill the shoes of someone like Galahad, who really was a very important figure on the round table. So, I mean, I guess I'd say, Linda, for me, it was a matter of, hey, believing that this was the right thing for me to be doing, that the time had come for me to be on the round table. Galahad was busy off with Bumpy and in Maryland, and he asked me to fill in for him. And Arthur wanted that too. A majority voted, and they voted to affirm me in that position. So it's like, okay, there's a reason I'm here. This is the time for me to be doing this thing right now. So I think part of the ability to kind of rest into and ease into that role is knowing it's the thing I'm meant to be doing right now, even if it's not easy. And being open to new things then, Like I said, I suddenly had to be wearing armor, and even if it was just for exhibition, going to jousting tournaments. Didn't want to be doing that, mainly because I've got pretty small bones, and like I said, I'm always stumbling, falling down the stairs in the armor, and like if that's what's happening, then what's going to happen when I'm up on a horse and a trained knight shoves me with a giant metal lance, But I opened myself up to those new things, and did I get knocked off those horses? Yes, I did. But I was amazed to find that I could get back up, and then I had to start working out a little bit to just build up some muscle tissue, and I think I'm a stronger person now than I would have ever been if I hadn't been put on the round table. So I don't know. I think, Linda, for you, I hope something from that helps. I mean, I just hope that you can open yourself up to all the gifts and opportunities that are gonna now be available to you in this new and beautiful time of your life. Thank you so much for that question. Okay, Sir Brad, pray tell, what does chivalry mean to you? And that's a question from Don D.L., a patron of Kara Morgan. Don, I think for me, chivalry means protecting those who may be weaker than you for whatever reason, or who need something that you're able to provide. Now, I am for sure the weakest member of the round table, so sometimes I need to receive some chivalry, honestly, and I have a couple pals. I mean, Galahad, for what it's worth, he's not been around, but he'll stick up for me, and he did when I was a jester. So there's an example of someone who is sticking up for defending someone who's weaker than them or who needs their help. Now, so there might not be a lot of opportunity for me to do that, but when there is, I do it, and if I encounter out and about in town someone being mean to someone else, I'll step in there. And what's nice about being not on the round table is that I am in a place where there's some respect given to that title, and even just wearing the stuff that I get to wear, people kind of think that I'll be able to enforce whatever I'm asking, and so they do. And I think when you get those opportunities to protect those who are in need of that, you do it. And this actually leads pretty well into this next question, so I'm going to go right to it. Dear Sir Brad, I'm a supervisor at my workplace, and I worry that there may be some bullying taking place, not unlike what you have experienced at the round table. But I can never seem to catch it in the act. It's just a general vibe, Do you have any recommendations for how I can approach my team to get them to treat everybody kindly? To get them to treat everyone kindly. And this is from Gallant Charlie. Gallant Charlie, that's great. That's a word that we use often in my sphere. So I like that you're already trying to be a knight for good. This is a really great question, Gallant Charlie. It's something that I've encountered a ton. I think, touching on what we were just saying, when you're in a place of authority and power, which, again, even if I am one of the weaker members of the table, I am I'm a knight of the round table, and with that comes a position of power. So, once people know you, and in your case, Gallant Charlie, you're a supervisor. So you're in a place of power at your workplace. People want to be on their best behavior around you so that they can benefit from the power you can offer them. But then what that means is that it doesn't mean they're not doing shady, mean stuff if they're prone to that sort of behavior. They still do it, but they do it out of sight of you. And again, when it comes to sticking up for someone who may need your help or protection, it's hard to do that if you don't see it happening. And I think, in my experience, the best things I've been able to do to sort of, like you say, um, get them to treat everyone more kindly. Sometimes you may hear a thing, people will put out feelers about, is this cool? Can I get away with saying something like, oh my word, she's so lame, like on the round table. There's a guy named Sir Davy. He didn't last too long. I like the guy a lot, but he didn't last too long. That's maybe somebody's in a meeting, or even just a hangout after a round table meeting, say something like, "Davey's such a lame-o." Let's turn our heater on. And they might say that, not the meanest thing, and put that out there, seeing how people respond. And then, a lot of times people will agree, like, oh my gosh, yeah, he always brings, milk in a little travel canister to the meetings. Everybody else is having mead, And what I've found is I can be like, I love Davey. You can speak up and say, you know what, I think Davey's great. He's a good guy, and I love hanging out with him. So just say something nice about them that makes it clear that you're not interested in talking that way about your colleagues or your fellow knights. And then at the very least, they didn't do that around you anymore. And I think that they won't do it as much, because if you've earned their respect, and it sounds like you have, Gallant Charlie, they're gonna see the way you behave, and they're gonna eventually want to emulate that. And then, if you do witness something, untoward that happens in the workplace, of course, you can address that in the moment, maybe not publicly, so that person isn't shamed or doesn't do anything to, that would earn the person that's being a little bullied retribution. But maybe privately say something to the person you caught doing the thing. Be like, listen, I saw that, and I'm not going to stand for it. However you would say it. And then the last thing I was going to say is, oh no, what was it? I had a thing in my brain, and I think I forgot it. Maybe it'll come back to me, Gallant Charlie. But I just want to applaud you for desiring to have a workplace that is equitable and kind, because all too often that's just not the vibe, as you say. And I do think it's on us to establish a vibe. All right. This next one actually does kind of play into this one as well. One more question. How's it going with Sir Lancelot, the bully? After the dance-off a few years back at the royal ball, would you and Sir Lancelot, whose name should be Lance too much, that was very good, consider a sing-off? And if so, what song would you choose? And this one is from Kathy Morgan again. Hey, Kathy. Thanks for these great questions. That, and if you're not aware of what Kathy's speaking of, the Knight's Ball, this is it's been about 4 years since that Knight's Ball, and, this is bullying that I was subject to directly from Lancelot, who he was cruel to me. He made fun of me quite a bit. I think especially when I became a Knight of the Round Table. He was one of the people that did not vote for me to be that, and kind of made that known in the ways he treated me. But after the Knight's Ball, and I'll copy a link to that in the description of this podcast episode, so you can watch it. Things really changed. I think he had some newfound respect for me. Now, I didn't win the dance-off. That was Denise that won that on my behalf. But I think he respected her, and by extension respected me, and also kind of experienced some humiliation himself. Got a little taste of what that felt like. And yeah, things have been pretty much fine between us ever since. He He doesn't try the same old stuff. What he would do is sometimes pull down my undergarters in front of the other guys. I hated that. That's embarrassing. That's not a thing anybody wants to have happen to them. And he's not tried anything like that ever since. And so I'm grateful for that. Would we consider a sing-off? I'll tell you what, he's a great singer. That's the problem there. I can sing okay, but Lancelot, my word, he's an incredible singer. So I don't think I'd win that, unfortunately. But if so, what song would you choose? That's a good question. Kathy, I'm gonna have to think about that. I mean, it probably would be uh Camelot, the song from Camelot. I don't know if you guys have seen that musical. It's fabulous, fabulous. A lot of great stuff. Some exaggerations made, but that song, "Allah was made a distant moon ago here. July and August cannot be too hot. And there's a legal limit to the snow here. Camelot. I know it sounds a bit bizarre, but in Camelot, that's how traditions are." Arthur sings that in the musical. I'd probably choose that song, but yeah, Lancelot will beat my pants off. No, he doesn't do that anymore. Okay. Let's see. Next question. Sir Brad, who do you envy and why? This is from Eliza. Oh man, yeah. I would say that's something I struggle with, envy, because I'm surrounded by people who are incredible at what they do, who are the best in the country, really, probably the world. So it's very easy to compare myself to people, and I do. I'm not any stranger to that. I'll be, up until the night's ball, I envied Lancelot enormously. I mean, he's jousting champion 4 years in a row. That's never happened. He eventually retired from it. That's the only reason he's not continued to be. People retire early from jousting. It can really mess you up pretty good. But envious of him for his physical prowess. He just commands a room. He walks in a room and everyone immediately kind of respects him. And if they're comfortable, they, certain people recede from him because they're afraid of him, and other people are drawn to him because of his charisma. And I've just never been that way. And so I envy him. I think I envy Arthur too for just the vision he had. I never had a huge vision like that to start, a kingdom and a system of chivalry that's defending again the people that need protection. I don't know. It's I've just never. For me, it's been like, oh, I want to make people laugh. I want people small, but make people laugh. Seems kind of a smaller scale. So I'm envious of people who can think that big and make such a big impact on so many people. I'm envious sometimes of the kitties. They just seem so at peace and so happy and playful. They rest. Sometimes find myself worrying about things and wish I could let go of some of that. Yeah, I guess that's what I'd say. Eliza, thank you for that question. Okay. Okay, now these next couple of questions are kind of all related, so I think I'm going to read them all together and then address them as one. Sir Brad, do you have a fair lady? And that's from Jamie. Okay. Next one. Sir Brad, I'm sure some of your roundtable friends are interested to know how things are with Denise. I always liked her fitness videos. That's from Kathy Morgan. And this one's from Jeanette. Agreeing with that question from Kathy Morgan, that was my first thought. They need to get back together. Is Denise at the fitness convention or stuck at tax prep school? Did she not pay her bill for said school? Again, that's from Jeanette. And then one more question here, also from Jeanette. Don't you miss Denise after all you went through to win her heart? The dance off, the battle with Lancelot. Go find her, and don't ask Merlin for help. So all these questions kind of center on my romantic life, and yes, this Denise, who I won't hide the fact of the deep feelings that I had and have for her. Again, if you don't know who Denise is or what passed between us, I would go to the comments, the description on this podcast episode, and you can watch all of that. That's out there for public record. And just to summarize, Denise, we met. She was my tax accountant. I had some income I didn't know how to declare from side hustles, gesturing and juggling, but I was at the time another round table, so I was receiving a W-2 for that, and I didn't know how to register the income I'd made from these side hustles. Anyway, she was recommended to me by a friend, and we met and kind of hit it off, and helped me figure out all my taxes. And then, of course, this Knight's Ball was coming up. We have a Knight's Ball every year. I'd never gone, but this year I thought maybe I'll ask Denise, and I did after a long build-up. Well, and actually, no, I didn't ask her. I wanted to, but then I got tricked into asking Dottie Dooge to the ball. So I had to go with Dottie Dooge. I didn't want to let her down. I involved Merlin's sister Meryl, and shouldn't have in retrospect because she got things kind of confused, and it was a mess. Anyway, we managed at the Knight's Ball to kind of find each other, and as we shared, she stuck up for me when Lancelot was bullying me and did a dance off and beat him definitively, and we danced together. And we had a couple months of real happy times together. If you don't know Denise, she's an incredible fitness. Her dream is to be an aerobics instructor, and she has done that. The pandemic set her back quite a bit, and so that was what she was going through. That's why she was doing tax work. I'd always wanted to go back to that. And so we got together. This was 2021. And together for a couple months, very, very happy couple of months. And then she got the opportunity to do an international aerobics tour. And it was going to be at least a year long, going all around the country. So, because it takes a while to sail from country to country, as she was going to do. I'm going to visit most of the continents, if not all. It was one of these things where we knew we wouldn't see each other for at least a year. And we decided mutually, it was very painful, but we decided the best thing was for her to be free, to see where this national aerobics tour took her. And it was very hard for both of us, I think. And I'm not sure. I can't say how she felt, but I would say for me, it maybe was harder because I'm the one that stayed behind, and she went on this tour. And she'd send me letters telling me about, performing here, performing there. And I'd say, I think it was around 8 months in that she wrote to tell me that she'd met someone, and that they were getting pretty serious. It's and it was actually one of the people on the tour. She'd been doing aerobics with him for 8 months at this point. They'd just been friends. I mean, and she was free to pursue anything. We wanted to give her that freedom. I of course hoped that she'd come back and we'd get back together, but that's not what happened. She met him on this tour. They spent a lot of time together, a lot of time traveling, and they hit it off. And so that was about 3 years ago, and, I'll hear from her from time to time. She sends me a birthday, um, pigeon and, sometimes a Christmas pigeon if she can. It's hard, it's a long way for pigeons depending where they are. But she's continued traveling, with, this dancer, this aerobics instructor and aerobics practicer. His name is, Jethro. And, they're married now, actually, which is, I'm so happy for them. I'm so happy for them. I think if you're gonna be in love with somebody and it's gonna end, the best thing you can hope is that they find, the right person. And I think that's who he is to her, and she is to him. So I miss her. Think of her a lot. Um, but that's that's what happened. And I never shared all of that with all of you. So, yep, I miss her, but she's doing great, and I'm doing great. We're kind of at the end of our time here on this podcast, but I'll share that I've met somebody that nothing's officially happening. Okay, it's somebody that I see a lot. That is, I think, a very cool, very special person. I don't feel comfortable saying who it is because I don't know who's going to be listening to this thing, and I don't know how she feels. But I'll just kind of say that there's a person who's done a lot of really cool, really unique things. Has traveled quite a bit herself. Been through some tough things. Is kind of currently going through something kind of tough, but is going on, keeping on, going on despite it. And I have an immense amount of respect for her, and I don't know, just kind of seeing where it leads. So I guess that's all. That's all I'll say for now about her. I want to thank all of you for your questions. I hope that I got to all of them, and if I missed any, I'm very sorry about it. Certainly wanted to address as many as I could. And if I did miss your question, by all means, let me know that, and I'll maybe type out a response, send it to you directly. Most of all, I want to thank you all for supporting Kara Morgan, for supporting the work she does, and the work that we do, and tell you that you're a part of it. You're truly a part of it. You're part of making this happen, and we're all so grateful. Okay, you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.